Hi, everyone. We're going to be doing some gentle yoga practices for today. You won't really need any props aside from your yoga mat, some bare feet, and some stretchy clothes. So don't worry about blocks or bolsters or any of those things. But when you're ready, go ahead and find your way to a seated position, and we'll start with some breathing practices. And take your time about it, but whenever you've settled in, let your hands rest in some supportive and comfortable way. And then close your eyes for the next few moments. Breathing normally. Just pay close attention to your inhale and your exhale. It's calling for the mind to elongate and exhale. So we'll do that today with an old school breath where you create the sound see through your teeth. Now, if you're not familiar, you haven't done it before, you can listen in for a few moments and jump in when you're ready. Do one round. As soon as you end the first round, begin another one right away and just continue on. I will hiss right along with you for a little bit and let you know when to stop all of that. Now, finally, if you can focus on the space between your eyebrows while you do this, it works even better for calming, so try that. So a big breath in. Return to normal breaths. For the next few moments, just take note of any mental effects. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Think of someone you'd like to dedicate today's practice to. Send your person some good energy mentally. When you're ready, then open up your eyes. So start out by extending your legs forward. And when you're ready, roll over onto your left hip. I'm going to do my right so it looks like we're doing the same thing from a mirror image perspective. So once you're on your left side, just draw your feet back near your hips and start out with your knees sort of pointed straight forward. Now grab a hold of your left leg and slide it out to the side. It's oftentimes helpful to roll the flesh of your buttocks out of the way on that side. And then slide your right knee over until it stops. You could put the inner edge of your foot on the floor if that feels best for you, but sometimes that can sort of torque your knee. If that's really uncomfortable, my preferred option is to put the top of the foot on the floor. So you just decide what works best. Walk your arms over to the left-hand side. Now, if you want to decrease the stretch just a little bit, start tall. Just work towards straight arms and lean forward over the leg just a little bit at a time. Now, if you want to go a bit further into it, feel free to take your left elbow down to the floor. If you really want to get into the hip, then take your right elbow down to the floor as well. And attempt to stack your elbows near either side of the knee beneath. Initially, make any fine adjustments that you find helpful. And then for the next few moments, just close your eyes. And focus awareness inside your body. It's really nice to just let go for a little while. So use your body's sensation as an anchor to the present moment. As you're stretching, you're going to have lots of thoughts playing in the background. Some of them are going to be positive thoughts. Some of them will most likely not be positive. And you'll probably have completely neutral thoughts as well, just buzzing by you. Now, if you can stay out of involvement with your mind after a little while, it will make you feel calmer on the inside. Now, that's different than attempting to stop your thoughts. Now, for the next few moments, just focus on physical sensation and let that be the feature presentation and the priority. Let your thoughts continue to babble and churn in the background, and just do your best to not get involved with any of those thoughts. If you find yourself really thinking through something, just notice that you've been snagged in a thought stream. Notice as quickly as you can and redirect to your body over and over again. And meanwhile, from the physical side of this posture, just get really, really heavy. It's as simple as that. Pretty much all it takes to get some opening. And every time you exhale, just feel gravity pulling your body's weight downward into the ground. And for the moment, walk your hands backwards and draw your torso upward to vertical. We can use that foundation for some other things. So take your right hand to your right hip. Spiral the hip around, sort of like you were twisting a pickle jar lid, until your buttocks lifts off the floor on the right side. It's going to put a little more weight onto your left side. Now take your hand to your knee, the right hand to left knee, and tuck your ribs down in the front slightly, and then rotate and gaze straight back. As you rotate, that will put a little more stretch in your right and your thigh muscles, in addition to twisting your spine. Gaze backward over your shoulder so you get rotation in your neck also. And then focus on physical sensation to anchor to the present. Let the observing portion of your mind observe the stretch from the inside out. And just let the thinking part do what it does with no involvement from your side at all. Try to roll your right chest around and deeper into the twist. Perhaps walk your left hand even further back. Squeeze your left shoulder blade closer to your spine as you rotate. And then release that twist. We'll come back to those two again soon, but first, something else. Slide your right leg all the way forward. Cross your left leg over. And then use your right arm, just wrap it around the knee and draw the knee to a vertical. Now, this is a great supportive foundation. Though, if you're able to, rock your body's weight over to the right and draw your other foot back near your side. And then gradually take your hip back down toward the earth. Now, if your bottom knee flies off the floor, or it's just really hard to get your sitting bone down to the ground, you can, of course, come back to the straight-legged variation. But otherwise, wrap your right arm around the left leg again. Place your left fingertips on the floor behind you, and just keep pulling the knee to vertical as you twist gently off to the left. It's a twist, but we're also trying to create some more openness in your glutes. Now, sometimes that openness will help with the stretch that comes next. So when you're ready, let your left knee drop down toward the floor. Use your hand to Wiggle and crawl the foot over to your side until your knees are closer to stacked. And sometimes it'll really help if you lean over to your right to do that. If that's just not going well at all, straighten your leg and try to do the same thing with your left leg. Now, if your legs are crossed, then just sink your left hip crease down toward the floor and draw both heels back near your sides. A very old pose called the cow face, Gomukasan. Roots down through your sitting bones. Pull your belly muscles in and lock your ribs down. And finally, hip hinge forward until you feel some more stretch in your glutes again. Let your eyes close, relax, and focus on feeling. Once you're in the pose, no major adjustments are necessary. Just get still, just get heavy, and let gravity pull you deeper into the pose. Sometimes if you pause at the end of your exhales, you'll get a magical drop into the posture. It's incremental, not a huge one. Just pause at the end of your exhale, get really heavy and relaxed, and sometimes you'll find it deepening. Breath by breath by breath, just let gravity pull you into the pose. Use your next inhale to sit all the way up. Unfurl your legs completely. If your legs got kind of sleepy, the best way to relieve that sleepiness is to rock from one side to the other. Rocking back and forth and lifting your hip off the floor decompresses any nerves that might have been compressed. Bending your legs and straightening them is also very helpful, as is giving them a faster shake if that works for you. So experiment, see what feels the best. All right, same cycle of postures on the other side. So roll completely over onto your right hand side and draw your feet back near your hip. Our bodies are a bit differently, so when you slide your right knee over, it might not go as far as mine, or it might go substantially further. So just slide it over till it won't slide over any further. Roll the flesh of your buttocks backward on that side. Replicate what you did previously with your left leg. Slide it over to the side, though sometimes one side is tighter than the other, so again, just move it over until it stops. Either place the inner edge of your foot on the floor or the uppermost portion of your foot to stretch the top of the foot itself. Go with whatever's most comfortable. Rotating your torso off to the right-hand side. First option is to practice with straight arms. You could hold that for a little while and go deeper if it's appropriate. A second option is to take your right elbow all the way down to the floor. And the third option is to take both elbows back down to the ground. Now settle in, make any micro adjustments that you need, any that are necessary, and then get still again. Let your eyes close and shift awareness back inside. Now, it seems as though focusing on physical sensation would be the simplest thing in the world, but I don't find it simple at all. I think the mind is kind of tricky, and sometimes thoughts will be so sneaky that I'll wind up getting so involved in a thought that I just completely forget about physical sensation before I'm even aware that I've done it. I bet you've probably had a similar experience in the past. Now, whenever that happens, forgetfulness has overtaken your practice. Whenever you forget about whatever you're focusing on, The antidote to that is to put a patch of mindfulness on it. Now, mindfulness just means remembering moment by moment. So whenever you forget about your body, whenever you forget about the stretch that you're in, try to redirect to physical sensation. And having patched the break of forgetfulness with mindfulness, just remember, or do your best to remember, to focus on physical sensation, moment by moment by moment. Meanwhile, just get heavy with every breath. Maybe pause at the end of your exhales. If you ever find yourself having gone too deep, you can always back out just a little bit. Otherwise, you just keep getting heavier every time you exhale. Keep your legs placed just as they are and walk your hands backwards. Take your left hand to your hip. Roll the hip around and forward so your buttocks lifts off the floor on the left side. Take your left hand to your right knee. Drop your ribs down in the front. Once you've walked your right hand even further backwards, rotate your spine to the right and gaze straight back. Keep rolling your left hip around and forward toward the right to sort of twist the base. And then just keep rotating the top as well. Focusing on physical sensation as you gaze directly backward. Pull your left shoulder around and deeper into the twist. Squeeze your right shoulder blade further back as you continue to rotate and spin. Now releasing that spinal twist, start out by extending both legs forward just in case. Now when you place your right foot outside the left leg, try to put your foot at about knee height, or knee level rather. Bear hug your leg into place with your left arm and drop closer to vertical. Now sometimes it's possible to just flip your other leg into position, but a lot of times people find it easier to lean way over to the side, which will enable easier transition to drag your leg back. Now, if you've done that, you want to gradually sink your hips toward the floor. If that's not working well for you, come back to the straight leg posture. Otherwise, same thing with your arm. Grab a hold of your knee with your left arm, pull it up as your right sitting bone settles closer to the floor, and just twist over to the side. So keep pulling your knee up. The priority is to feel some stretch in the glutes. You feel some opening in the back. Mainly the stretch should be going to your hip. And for the next part, let your knee drop down a little bit. Your bottom knee flies off the floor, or this leg is sort of awkwardly placed and it just won't settle into this position. Work toward the straight option. And press your knee over to the side. It usually helps to walk your foot across so you can sort of crawl it over until your knees come closer to stacking. Now I'm leaning way over to the left here, which made it easier to stack the knees or get them closer to stacked. I'm going to deepen the stretch by dropping my right hip down toward the floor. Now once you've done that, you can once again press your knees a little closer together. Draw your feet back to the side with both sitting bones anchored to the ground. Pull your belly in, drop your ribs down in the front so there's no flare. Then forward lean. Focus on the feelings in your body. Focus on your breathing. And when you forget about the fact that you're stretching, when you get entangled in thoughts, mindfully redirect and remember your body moment by moment by moment. If you stretch too deep, back out a little bit. If you want a deeper stretch, just keep forward leaning. Just let gravity do all the work as you continue to hold. If you find a spot that feels stuck or resistant, just sort of pause there, keep breathing. Know that it may take a good long while for the resistance to wash away, but if you just bump up against the edge, after a little while, things will start to shift and change. And all the way back up. Unfurl your legs. Straighten them out. And remember the options. Rock side to side. You can pedal your legs slowly. You can give them a faster shake or anything you need to sort of wake up your legs again. All right, we've got to get your quadriceps and your hip flexors. So roll over onto one side. I'm going to roll onto my right side, but if you're facing the camera, roll onto your left. And then draw both knees toward your chest. You want a rough 90-degree angle between your legs and your spine. Slide your hand down your shin. Use your right hand to grab your left foot. And then initially, try to keep your knee at about hip height and press your foot straight back, which will open your hip flexors. Now, the hip flexors connect your leg to your spine, and sometimes the stretch is reduced with a back bend. So today, increase the stretch by tucking your ribs down like you do on a sit-up. As you do that, your leg probably won't go back as far, but that's okay because it's going to be a more effective stretch. So just press it back until it stops. Now you're getting most of the major benefits of the pose there. If you want a slightly different option, hook your ankle over the top of the leg, use your foot to press your knee closer to the floor, and keep tucking your ribs down in the front. That doesn't work so well. It's definitely okay to just come back to the previous option instead. Now while we're here, we're going to multitask with something else. So let go of the leg. It's also good to side bend your spine. So extend your legs all the way over until they're straight. Try to align your ankles and your hips and your shoulders. And then for now, just press your left elbow down into the floor. Keep your right hand there to sort of stabilize things. Give yourself a nice Chiquita banana-like side bend. If you shrug your shoulder up near the ear too much, sometimes that sort of tenses your neck muscles, so try to keep pressing your elbow down into the floor. This one's a little more effortful, so I won't have you hold as long, but just try to maintain and breathe. And for now on that side, that's it. So press yourself all the way back up, and then just roll on to your other side. Well, first, the stretch for your legs. Draw your knees toward your chest, and know that your 90-degree angle doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to get close. Grab your top leg. Slide your hand down the shin toward your foot. Now, sometimes the body tries to resist the stretch by lifting the knee up. So if you're able to, try to keep your knee low. Depress your ribs and keep kicking straight back as you hold. You're not shooting for any particular placement in your leg back there. Just drop your ribs down, press your leg straight back, and soon you'll get the openness where it's needed. Your leg might go further back than mine, not as far. Either is fine. Now, sometimes it's just hard to lift this bottom foot off the floor. If that's the case, I think the best thing is to just keep doing it as you are. If you can pick up the foot though, hook it over. Use its weight to press your knee closer to the floor as you keep pulling back. Tuck your ribs down in the front so your torso is just in the same position it was previously. And then back to the Chiquita banana stretch. Elongate your legs. Try to sort of shift your hips around so that your ankles and hips and shoulders are in rough alignment. I usually parallel my arm to the back of the mat there so I can really take some weight with it. Place your left hand underneath you, which just gives additional support. Press your elbow down into the floor to open up the space between your ribs. And just keep breathing into it. Sometimes it feels like a lot of work to keep pressing the elbow into the floor, but try to maintain that. Feel that subtle energy build that continues to course through your body as you continue pressing your elbow into the floor. Well, the next transition is to the back. So when you're ready, go ahead and recline all the way back down to the ground. Now today we're going to use a few different leg positions in a spinal twist. So initially just bend your legs and plant your feet on the floor. Reach your arms all the way out to your sides with your palms facing up. Now this is a figure 4 shape, so cross your right ankle over your left leg so that your right leg forms a figure 4. Slide your buttocks over to the right. That just helps to align your neck and your hips and your ankles once you finally enter the twist. Now with lots of space between your knees, your right leg still in the figure 4 shape. Slowly drop your knees over to the left until your figure 4 foot, the right foot, comes down to the floor and the side of your knee rests on the ground as well. Now slide your left knee toward your left armpit to hike your legs up just a little higher toward your chest. Reach down there and attempt to grab your right ankle or foot with your left hand. It just sort of holds it in place. Press your right knee up toward vertical. Keep your right arm extended out to the side to open up your chest muscles. Relax, feel, and mindfully breathe. Your thoughts and memories are insubstantial things, so if a thought from your past pops up, if your mind churns up a reminder that you've got something to do later on, anything else like that at all, note that it's there without interacting and mindfully redirect the feeling. Or a few times in the day where you can take off your mask. So just let your jaw relax till your lips ever so slightly apart. Imagine the sensation of warmth right near your face, like the warmth from the sun. And just imagine that that warmth can seep into all the muscular tension that you hold in your face. Muscular tension that arises from holding your expression. Just let all that tension melt, relax, and release. On the same side, we're going to go for a slightly different legs position. If it's too much, you can return to the one that you're in. For now, sweep your knees back up, but try to put your legs in cow face position. Cross your legs a little tighter until your right knee is right above the left, or at least the legs are somewhat stacked. Gradually, systematically, and slowly drop your knees over to the left again, and you get just a slightly different emphasis. For me and my body, I feel a little more spinal twist, a little less stretch in my hip. We're all different though. You might feel it some other way entirely. The important priority for now is though that you're simply twisting. If that leg position doesn't work for you, come back to the one previous, or just take your knees together and drop them over to the side instead. Just try to get really, really heavy. Sweep your knees all the way back up. Unfurl your legs. Once you place your feet on the floor, center your hips with the midline of your mat. And take a few moments to relax your chest muscles too by letting your hands rest on your belly or potentially there on your chest. Scan throughout your body and just see if you can sense any differences between one side and the other. Sometimes the sides have been stretched will feel a little cooler, a little lighter, a little more tingly in some way. And same sequence on the other side. Figure four shape. Cross your left ankle over your right leg. Extend your arms out to the sides with your palms up. They won't slide far, but slide your entire pelvis over toward the left side of your mat. With your left leg still in figure four shape, slowly and gradually drop your knees all the way over to the right. Once your foot and the knee come down to the floor, slide your legs a little closer to your chest so you can more easily reach down and grab your left ankle with your right hand. And do your best to press your left knee away from the body. And then relax and breathe. And if your left arm starts to fall asleep, you can always lower your arm a little bit further down, which will help. Now, generally speaking, to get your legs crossed tighter, it's best to exit the twist. So just swivel your knees up. And then once they're off the floor, you should be better able to cross left knee over right. Again, you can repeat the same pose you did previously. For now, drop your knees all the way over to the edge. Your legs are in the cow face pose. They'll most likely not drop as deep. Totally okay. Try to keep your left shoulder anchored to the floor beneath. Mindfully concentrate awareness on your body and just be mindful of your breathing. Remember it moment by moment by moment. Feel your breath winding through the muscles in your torso and your chest and maybe even your hips. And imagine that your breath could wash away some of the tension. And swivel your knees all the way back up. Center your hips with the midline of your mat. Let your hands rest on your chest or your belly or any other place they feel good. Just make sure your elbows are drawn down to the side so your chest muscles can release a little bit. Compare your sides. Now for the next one, squeeze your elbows tightly into your sides and bend your arms to 90 degrees so that your forearms are vertical and your fingertips pointed straight up to the ceiling. Press your elbows down into the earth. Squeeze your shoulder blades closer to your spine so that your shoulder blades and elbows can support most of the weight of the pose. Look straight up as you hold. And then leading with your knees, slide your knees forward until your hips lift off the ground. If it helps, you can use your fingertips to press your ribs down in the front. And with your ribs still locked down, slide your knees further and further and further forward. At some point, your gluteal muscles are going to start engaging. Let it happen. Tuck your ribs down, slide your knees forward and squeeze your bum, and then just hold and maintain. This one takes a little extra effort. We won't hold it as long, but just a little bit more time. Now roll first the vertebrae of your upper back down to the floor. Try to keep your tail tucked. Roll the vertebrae of your middle back down to the floor while still tucking the tail. The vertebrae of your upper lower back. Keep on going one section of spine at a time until your hips come all the way back down to the ground. Now this time, give your right knee a big bear hug squeeze to your chest. And to stretch your hamstrings, straighten out your left leg. Just keep pulling your right knee in. If you're wanting more stretch, interlace your hands behind your right leg, near the back of the knee and the hamstrings. Work towards straightening your leg to the ceiling. Now, if you like to slide your hand further up towards your ankle, you go for it. Otherwise, hands on the knee or the back of the leg, like mine, is great. Just keep pulling your leg overhead and backward till you feel some stretch in the back of the left leg. You'll feel less stretch in the hamstrings if your knee is bent and drawn to the chest, but the stretch is still there nevertheless. You feel a lot more if the leg is straight, but you choose the one that works the best. Take your foot all the way down, bend both legs, and point your other knee to the ceiling and draw it toward your chest. Grab your shin or the knee and draw it toward you. Straighten out the other leg entirely. As it elongates, let it rest on the floor. And if you feel like you'd like to go a little deeper, then interlace your hands behind your hamstrings, sort of near the knee. Work on extending the leg, and know that it might take quite a bit of time to straighten it. Totally okay. As long as you feel some opening in the back of the leg, doesn't matter if it's straight. And bend the leg and release down out of that. When you're ready, find your way to a reclining position on the back for the corpse pose. Let's make any final adjustments you need to get still and quiet in the pose. And to finish, we'll do an old school breathing practice to help you relax and go a bit deeper inside. So there are rivers of energy throughout your body entire called nadis. Nadi is the Sanskrit word for river. In some ways, I suppose these are perhaps a little bit like the energetic sites that they stimulate in acupuncture. Now you can redirect energy into different energy channels for different purposes. In this particular practice, we're going to be using one specific energy channel that connects your navel to the center of your throat. And to represent that channel, we're going to imagine a hollow crystal straw, connecting those 2 points with the base of the straw at your navel and the top of the straw at the middle of your throat. Now, to do this visualization, redirect all of your awareness down to your belly button. And just touch your belly button for a moment to create some tactile sensation there. It's the base of the channel. Take your fingers up to the very center of your throat, which is the top of the channel, and just depress there to create some tactile sensation in that space. Now, remembering those 2 points, place your hands in your lap or on the floor rather in some comfortable way. And then connecting your navel in the center of your throat, just under your skin. Imagine a straw about the width of your thumb, completely hollow in the inside. The base of the straw is at your navel, and the top of the straw is at the center of your throat. Imagine it's a pretty straw. Imagine that it's made of crystal and completely hollow in the inside. Now, for a bit, you're going to imagine that you could put your breath inside of that straw. So next time you exhale, breathe out all of your air and imagine you're pressing it down to the bottom of the straw, down to your navel. Squeeze all your breath out. As you breathe in, mentally pull your breath up the straw all the way to the center of your throat with a really huge inhale. Fill your lungs. As you exhale, send your breath back down the straw until at the end of your exhale, you rest your mind at your navel. And then keep going. Inhales flow up the straw. They should be deep. And your exhales flow down the straw. You should breathe out all of your air. Deep inhales flow up the straw. Huge exhales flow back down the straw. The visualizations aren't perfect. Don't worry, just do your best, but keep going. Inhales flow up. Exhales flow down. Keep breathing. Now, right now, as you continue breathing, you're most likely watching the straw from the outside. Next, we're going to try to put your awareness inside of the straw along with your breath. So exhale every drop of your air. Breathe it all out and press your awareness down to the base of the straw. Now, like you are flowing up the straw, like you're riding up an elevator shaft. Use your inhale to drive your consciousness and your breath up the straw to the middle of your throat. Send awareness from center throat back down the channel, all the way down to your navel. Consciousness flows up with your inhales. And your awareness flows down with your exhales. Deep breaths in. Complete breaths out. As you continue drawing breath and consciousness up and down the tube, listen to the sound so created as you inhale. Listen to the sound hum as you exhale. If it helps, make your breath sound like Darth Vader. So, inhale. Hum, exhale. And imagine the natural sound of your breath creating those letters. And imagine the letters vibrating the inside of the tube. So hum. As you exhale, listen to the sound hum. Feel those letters vibrating the tube. And as you inhale, consciousness and awareness up the tube, the sound so. Hum, awareness flows down the channel. So, awareness flies up the channel. Exhale every drop of your air. At the end of your exhale, just pause with your breath held out and simply stop breathing for a little bit. Relax mentally and physically. And when your breath naturally comes back, let it reemerge. No rush though, just relax and be still. For the moment, redirect awareness to your body. Bring wiggle to your fingers and all of your toes. And slowly, when you're ready, roll over to one side. With both eyes closed, come back to a seated and cross-legged posture. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Remember the person you dedicated your practice to, and either pray for or wish for their happiness and health. Take a moment to be grateful for another day. And if you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.